everybody, and welcome back once again. Special edition of Inside the Headset as we're down to the Final Four of 6A football here in the state of Tennessee, and in less than 53 hours we'll be going at it. I've got on the phone with me the head coach of the Maryville Red Rebels, and that is Coach Derek Hunt. How you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing great, Stork. Thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate you getting on. I didn't know we had a good friend of ours that probably got me involved in this thing almost 20 years ago, and that being Jeff Childs.
That's right. Childs family, they're awesome people, and got to know them well when they moved to Maryville quite a few years ago.
Well, Jeff got me into this. You better watch it when the phone rings. I was a fan in youth football and just kind of hanging out in the stands, and they needed somebody to be an announcer about 20 years ago, and I stepped up to the plate, and next thing I know, I'm in the video, and then did both his sons' highlight videos, sent one to Maryville, sent one to Carson Newman, and Jeff is a very close friend of mine, and I enjoyed being on the football board with him many years ago and being a part of that. But, man, let's talk a little bit about you. It seems like to me you've been a part of Maryville for a long time in the Maryville High School program. Tell us a little bit about yourself and taking over as head coach of the Maryville Red Rebels for our fans here in Rutherford County.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Maryville. And, you know, my dad would take me to the Maryville High School games when I was a kid. And, of course, I dreamed of playing for Maryville and Coach Quarles, and obviously got to do that. And what a blessing it was for me to get to play under such an awesome head coach and a great staff. You know, a lot of those guys that I played for are still on staff with me now. And so, you know, I kind of, when it comes to playing and coaching in high school football, and I was almost born on second base, it feels like, you know, just the great people and great coaches I got to be around. And so I played at Maryville College for a few years, and then as soon as I was done there and graduated, Coach Quarles was nice enough to have me back on staff. And so I was under him for 8 years until he moved on to Furman, obviously to coach tight end, assistant head coach, and then eventually the offensive coordinator, and then, you know, got promoted to head coach. And that was, you know, such a really cool process, to be honest with you. When Coach Quarles left, you know, our director of schools, Mike Winstead, and our principal, Greg Roach, you know, I think they decided to keep it, you know, an in-staff hire, and they met with every single one of the coaches on the staff, and of course I was the first one to meet with them. And it's like I told them, I guess it's been almost 2 years ago now, but I told them, you know, I'm the youngest guy on staff, so I know my role, and if there's somebody else that wants this job, I, you know, will gladly be an assistant and serve them as best I can, you know. But at the same time, this is something that I've dreamed about for a long time, since I was a little kid. You know, being a coach at Maryville High School, and so if that's in the cards, I'd be happy to do that as well. And I was happy either way. I was very, very happy being an assistant coach and helping our staff out however we could. And then, you know, I guess they called me back a couple of days later after they'd met with everybody to do like an official interview, and it really wasn't an interview. I felt like you know, all those other guys on our staff had already interviewed for me, and that was extremely humbling for me as the youngest on staff to go in there and accept that job. And we really do work at a good place and a great school, and I'm very fortunate to have the coaches on this staff that I get to work with each day.
Well, and it's a football town just like we're in, and, you know, to take over a storied program like Maryville, I mean, if you come in and you're a head coach and you're not that great of a team, you have nowhere to go but up. But a team that was already up, I mean, since Maryville's joined the 6A ranking in 2009, you guys have either been in the state championship and won it, or have been the runner-up, all except 1 year in 2016 when Coach Creasy knocked you guys out in that run. But what a story program. Let's get into the 2018 season. I mean, you guys came down. Oakland came over to you earlier in the season. You handed them a loss, and they're at 12-1. We look at your side of the coin. You're at 12-1. Your only loss coming to Alcoa, and that guy that beat you is 423-75, and more than likely will end up winning Friday night and go on and win the state championship and end up being coaching in his 500th game the night they play the championship. And I mean, you can go on, but I mean, you all have had a really good season, and talk a little bit about how you got here.
Yeah, we have had a great year, and I'm really proud of our kids. You know, I think a lot of people thought that, you know, Maryville might not be the same. I mean, I think we were still expected to be pretty good, but we lost a lot of star power, a lot of firepower, especially on offense. You know, we lost 8 starters from last year's team, and our quarterback, Dylan Hopkins, was a Mr. Football finalist and is now at UAB, and he was a really, really good player. We had a lot of really good players that graduated and are playing in college now, and so it was, you know, it was really, I was excited this offseason to get some new faces involved, and I was excited for our young kids. And, you know, I'm really proud of our seniors, this senior class. You know, they've come probably as far as any senior class that we've ever had since I've been at Maryville. You know, their freshman year, they kind of got beat up a little bit and took some lumps along the way, and you know, it was just kind of a tough road for them, you know, as a freshman team. And there was a little bit of concern among the coaches, you know, but they have worked really hard, and we've got 17 seniors, and so to have us back where we're at right now, you know, in the semifinals, I think is a huge testament to the work that they've put in, and I just give them a lot of credit for getting this team back to where we're at. And like I said, we've had a great year. I'm very proud of our kids, and you know, it's extremely exciting and humbling to get to be playing in the Final Four against an outstanding opponent in Oakland.
Well, you've got 2 quarterbacks, Chambers and Carnes, and you'll run both of them. And it's just according to how the game flows and which one's kind of got the hot hand. Kind of talk about that 2 quarterback. Coach Creasy did it a little bit last year. How is that in the schematics of the way Maryville normally executes? How's that been for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily new to Maryville. I played in a 2 quarterback system when I was playing for Coach Quarles, and we've had, you know, there's been years where we've played 2. You know, we've always felt like if we've got 2 good enough to play and win games with, then we're going to play them both. You know, if one's, you know, head and shoulders above another one, then we'll play one. But sometimes that happens, and sometimes it doesn't. And this year we had, the competition started, you know, back in the spring, you know, with Dylan Hopkins leaving, moving on. You know, we had 2 juniors that, you know, would have a chance to compete for it. And I told both of them, and you know, if one of you is better than the other one, we're going to play that one. And, you know, if we get to the first week and it's still pretty tight, we'll play 2. And it's kind of been that way all year. And they both, you know, do some good things. And, you know, it's not like we got a runner and a passer. They both throw it well. They both run it well.
Absolutely.
And it's like I've always said, we don't look to see who's playing quarterback before we call a play. It's, you know, we just run our offense, and they both do a great job executing it, and they're really efficient, really good kids. I'm very blessed to get to coach them each day, and I really enjoy being around them.
Well, Woody Washington, he'll have his hands cut out with him as he'll try to be getting open away from Michael Buchanan. And then when he's on the side of the ball, because he plays both ways, he'll be trying to guard Ashton Maple. So I like that matchup. And those 3 guys will be going at it all night, Coach.
Yeah, Woody's an unbelievable player and talent. And you know, Oakland staff, they do a great job, you know, of utilizing him. He's a great player, not just a great high school player, but I think he's going to be a really, really good college player as well. And he makes it tough, you know. Obviously, you know, really Oakland's whole secondary is really good, but you know, Woody stands out, and yeah, he makes it tough on you, makes it tough for quarterbacks and receivers, and just a lockdown guy and not afraid to play physical either. And, then you turn it around on the offensive side of the ball, and he's a threat. He's a weapon. And so he's definitely scary. And, but golly, I mean, how many players does Oakland have like that? They've got so many good players on both sides of the ball. And, their coaches, I have such a great amount of respect for Coach Creasy and the job that his staff does, utilizing, the talent that they have. They do a great job schematically mixing it up and giving you different looks and, in all three phases of the game. So they do it right. And like I said, I have a great amount of respect for those guys.
Garrett Taylor, their kicker, is, if he seems like he's already in college. Talk about just what type of weapon that is and being able to flip that field like he can and a couple of times it seems like they're going to get back to him and maybe put some pressure on him, and they have here all season. Yeah. But, man, he can really let that thing go.
Yeah, especially in high school football. On Saturdays in the college game, I feel like everybody's kind of got one that can put it in the end zone or, punt it 40, 50 yards or you flip the field, stuff like that, kick 40-yard field goals. But in high school, to have somebody like that is a huge weapon. And, we've certainly been fortunate to have our run of good kickers at Maryville, but there's no doubt that Oakland has had him as well. And he's a phenomenal kicker. And like I said, in my opinion, it's a really underrated asset in high school football, and one that shows up in games like this, semifinal games that are usually really good games. So that's usually when those guys stand out.
Well, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Of course, both teams will practice and everything. You guys kind of got a big tradition going. You've always done it year in, year out. Please expand upon that and let everybody know about the Maryville Red Rebel tradition of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so we've been it's humbling really to think about the number of times that we've gotten to eat Thanksgiving breakfast together as a team. Golly, it's one of my favorite things that we do, to come in, bring all of our kids in, our senior dads, cook breakfast for our kids. And, a lot of our kids, talk about things that they're thankful for. And it's really a special, special time. And hopefully we get to continue to do it next year. But until then, we'll come in and eat tomorrow morning and then go out and just have our pretty simple walk-through practice and then the hay's in the barn, and then after that you're just waiting and hurry up and wait, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
To get to Friday night.
Well, and it looks like the weather's going to hold. Looks like we'll be able to do our broadcast and hopefully stay out of the mud and everybody stay dry. And I guess you guys will head out sometime mid-morning, 11, 10 o'clock. What time y'all going to roll?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I hadn't gotten that far just yet. But it'll be, mid-morning, maybe closer to lunchtime is when we'll start heading that way.
Will you all take a break and get out and stretch and kind of talk about a couple of things, or when you put them on the bus, will you roll straight to Ray Hughes?
Yeah,
how will you
typically
do it?
We typically do stuff like that because it's always hard to work in like a pregame meal and a walkthrough. So yeah, we'll try to work stuff like that in anytime we're traveling to Murfreesboro or any 2 or 3 hour trip that we have.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you talking to me. Safe travels, and I guess we will see you in the Maryville Red Rebels Friday night at Ray Hughes.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All righty, Coach. Take care.